In 1986, Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple and bought a small company for $5 million. That company was Pixar. And he stayed Pixar's CEO until 2006. During that time, Steve Jobs taught us valuable lessons about the difference between good teamwork and bad teamwork. You see, in 2000, Pixar was moving offices, and they had plans to build 3 separate offices, one for computer scientists, one for animators, and one for Pixar executives. When Jobs learned about the plans, he scrapped it immediately. Why? Because he knew the entire Pixar team needed to be together, to have one big space, and a meeting place right in the middle. Because he knew that great teamwork requires connection. See, every team's got to figure this out at some point. This is how teamwork goes. That everything goes great until it doesn't. And then what? When things get hard, you're losing the championship game, the business stops making money, your marriage is strained. That's the true test. Because every team reaches that moment and they never expect to. So the difference between good teamwork and bad teamwork is defined not when things are easy, but when things get hard. That's when great teamwork comes down to these 3 things. First, during the tough times, do you drift apart or stay connected? It's a critical distinction. Steve Jobs knew how important that fork in the road can become for a team. He knew there'd be tough times. So his answer? We stay together. We build our office to always be connected. Good times or bad times, we're going to keep running into each other. We're going to keep figuring this out. The Chicago Bulls dynasty lost many times before they finally won. The difference was they stuck together during the bad times. They didn't drift apart. They fixed the problems because they didn't run from the problems. FC Lyon, the amazing women's football team, perhaps the most successful team in the world right now, needed to break through before they went on to win 7 titles in 10 years. When things get hard, grow together. The second key between good teamwork and bad teamwork is trust. For years, Google ran some internal research called Project Aristotle, which was Google's deep data dive into what makes highly effective teams. And the 2 top determinants were feeling safe on the team and feeling like others were dependable. It was trust. Trust that my voice will be heard, that it'll be valued, it'll be appreciated, and at the end of the day, we'll get our work done. Teams aren't always the happiest groups. They don't always make life easier. In fact, oftentimes they make it harder. But when push comes to shove, a good team trusts each other, and everyone has a voice. Think about the best leader you ever worked for. Their bar height was high. Work wasn't easy, but it was fulfilling. You had a role. Others had a role too, and at the end of the day, everyone could trust each other. And that trust is so vital because of the third key between good teamwork and bad teamwork, that teams plateau before they peak. The foundational research into teams was really clear on this point. People like Bruce Tuckman and Timothy Briggs back in the 1960s and 70s figured this out. Teams have a natural plateau. They get together, they start figuring things out, then their performance starts to normalize and level. And not at the level they could be capable of, but at a natural threshold. And to reach their peak performance, in order to break through that threshold, teams need some kind of leadership to push the bar up. That's a big part why leadership matters. Now that leadership can come in lots of different forms, a motivational breakthrough, a moment where people rally, agitating people out of autopilot, something like that. But oftentimes that leadership doesn't come without some pain, without some discomfort. And if you don't trust each other, when you try to break out of that plateau, you simply break apart. Think about the years of hard work before the success arrived. That's the difference between hitting the plateau and reaching the peak. It takes the foundation of trust, then the leadership to push it. Think about Sheryl Sandberg at Facebook, or think about what Steve Jobs brought back to Apple when he rejoined, that push from plateau to peak. It's the fundamental law of teams, that everything goes well until it doesn't. And then what? That's when bad teams unravel and good teams rally. So don't get caught off guard. You know that these teamwork challenges are coming, whether you're facing them now or not. So build a structure to stick together. Build trust at every moment, even when you don't think it matters. And foster leadership that will push you from a plateau to the peak. That's good teamwork.